One of the most unusual places in all of Taiwan is this place. This is a temple dedicated to 17 men and a dog, as you can see there. Now, Natalie, Leslie, I think you both remember we have introduced this temple before.
We have.
Yes.
It was so touching, the story.
It was very touching. Now, that is just one of the many unusual temples that you can find in Taiwan. There are a lot of fascinating places, lots of quirky things happening there. So today I'm going to ask you about 4 temples that are very unusual. So on buzzer number 1 we have Natalie So. Buzzer number 2 we have Leslie Liao. Are you ready? All right. First question. There's a temple in Nantou in central Taiwan where the faithful worship a living thing that is more than 700 years old. What is it?
A tree? Oops.
That is
tree?
correct. You're right. It is a tree.
I was going to say giant clam.
Leslie.
Good imagination.
All right, let's have a look at this tree. So this is an old camphor
beautiful.
tree.
Giant tree.
And you can see it's actually leaning on something there on the left. They actually call that the tree god's cane. And they will actually worship this tree because it's so old.
Oh.
It's a giant tree. That's huge.
It's beautiful. A beautiful tree.
It is a beautiful tree, full of vitality. Question number 2. Many temples in Taiwan are guarded by lions. Now there's a temple along the northern coast that's guarded by fish. Now something even more unusual is the whole temple is covered in a very unusual material. What do you think that temple is covered in? Leslie?
Fish scales.
No.
Seaweed?
Not seaweed. You're going in the right direction. Yes?
Oyster shells.
Well, I'll give it to you. It is shells and coral.
Giant clam, don't fail me now.
Must look nice.
Have a look at this picture. So
wow.
the reason they did this is because they wanted it to look like an underwater scene for one of the Jade Emperor's disciples who was banished to the bottom of the ocean.
That's gorgeous.
That's
the fish
really
guarding the
cool.
temple even look like the lions that usually guard the temple. They
Yeah.
got the tusks.
It's the same feeling.
Very creative.
But it's very beautiful.
Wow.
Question number 3. Last September, devotees from 2 temples in Lugang in western Taiwan, they climbed to a very beautiful place called Jiaminghu. What did they bring with them? Leslie?
Their sculpture of Mazu.
Yes, that's correct. Have a look at this. So basically, they brought statues of both Mazu and Guanyin, so the goddess of mercy. Mazu is the goddess of the sea. It rained the whole way up there, but once they got to the top, the fog lifted, and then they prayed by the side of the river and prayed for an end to COVID-19.
That's nice. Wow.
Can you imagine bringing that up on your back?
That's
that big?
Heavy.
It's pretty heavy, yeah. All right, last question. Every year during the Lantern Festival, which just passed, devotees at a temple in Yelio along the northern coast do something very different with their temple statues. What do they do with them? Leslie?
Dress them up.
They don't dress them up.
They make them into lanterns?
Nope. I'll give you a hint. So this is Yelio, which is right next to the ocean. What do they do with the statues?
Give them a bath in the ocean?
They do.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Well, the point is they actually jump into the ocean with the palanquins with the statues on them. So they go for a running jump, land in the ocean, and this is basically it's sort of like cleaning up the harbor is what they're saying. It's their way of blessing or kind of, I guess, making the harbor fresh.
That's got to be tough on the palanquin, though. It's just the salt water's pretty erosive, I'd imagine.
I think they have a makeshift one. I
Gotcha.
don't think it's the actual
Gotcha.
palanquins in the temple statues.
Thinking way ahead of me.
So those are just some of the quirky things you'll find at temples here in Taiwan. Now that last one, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, they had to cancel the part where you jump into the water. But fortunately, we have some footage to show you what it looks like. Have a look.
For over 100 years, this is how it's been done, with a running start and a wild leap into the sea. In the seaside town of Yelio on Taiwan's north coast, the Lantern Festival just isn't the Lantern Festival without a plunge into the local harbor. It's not just people jumping. The jumpers carry a god from a local temple in a palanquin. This event is called the Yelio Harbor Purification Festival. It's thought to expel bad spirits and bring good fortune. While the plunge is still a religious event, jumpers these days tend to have fun with it.